Hey everybody, it's GoleMX, and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. Today we're going to be playing another Premier Draft of Throne of Eldraine, and without further ado, we're going to slam dunk our Pack 1 Pick 1 Bomb Rare. Opportunistic Dragon is a 4-mana 4/3 flyer at worst, but when it enters the battlefield, you get to choose target human or artifact an opponent controls, and for as long as it remains on the battlefield, you gain control of that permanent. It loses all abilities, and it can't attack or block. So, if your opponent happens to have a human on the board when you play this thing, it's a 4-mana 4/3 flyer and a removal spell until they kill the dragon. It's a pretty ridiculous card. It's a very fantastic one and easily the strongest card in the pack. A great way to start the draft off. For pick number 2, though, the red cards are significantly weaker. The strongest mono-colored cards here are Tome Raider and Outmuscle, both of which are pretty fine. Actually, Sir Alan's pretty great as well. I think the strongest card in this pack by a lot is a little awkward because it's not going to go in the same pack or in the same deck as Opportunistic Dragon ever, and that's Drown in the Loch, and that's simply because Blue-Black Mill is such an egregiously powerful archetype. In the format, this becomes just a ridiculously efficient counterspell or removal spell, which makes it tremendously flexible. I think this card is busted. It's a mythic uncommon, and we will take it accordingly here. Now, 2 different paths to take, either way with an incredibly powerful start. Super powerful start towards red aggro, or super powerful start towards blue-black mill. Pick number 3 is another pretty weak pack. There's like a green aggro 1-drop. There's an anti-artifact red card. I wouldn't even call this a great red aggro card because when your opponent doesn't have artifacts on the board, it's a 2-mana 2/1 that's really not particularly good body or particularly aggressive. Yeah, it's a pretty weak, pretty narrow pack. I honestly just think the best card is Runaway Together. This is just a blue spell that combos really well with any creatures with adventures. The one you're going to see it with the vast majority of the time is the Merfolk Secret Keeper in blue-based mill decks, but with any creatures with good adventures, it's pretty fantastic. You bounce their big finisher like Prize Griffin while bouncing your own card that has a good adventure to recast, so it's just the strongest card in the pack. Once again, Trebuchet pretty filler out of red here. The best cards are Bake Into a Pie for removal that gains life, Fairy Vandal, which is really good with other ways to draw cards, and Edgewall Innkeeper, which is a really good way to draw cards. I think we lean towards Bake Into a Pie or Fairy Vandal here since we do have Runaway Together and Drown in the Loch in that direction, but nothing towards green at all. Even though the Innkeeper is pretty solid, these cards are very, very solid as well. I go for the Fairy Vandal, like it quite a bit. Being able to play it at instant speed is really nice so that you can help hold up your counterspells more easily. And there's a lot of cards that'll incidentally just draw 1 card during your turn and get that really triggered. And red is completely absent from this pack. Might be getting cut off the Opportunistic Dragon, where we're really happy to have this pretty strong blue-black backup plan. That said, I don't like Lochthwain Paladin or Steelgaze Griffin really at all. I mean, they're fine, but they're pretty filler to take pick 5, especially pack 1, pick 5, when we should stay a little open. When we see a much stronger card like Fierce Witchstalker or Improbable Alliance, we should take one of those. So, despite not seeing a lot of good red, I do like blue-red Draw 2 as an archetype, and Fairy Vandal fits really well into that deck, and that could be a spot where we get to play our Opportunistic Dragon still, so it does look like green is one of the most open colors in the draft pod. Getting Edgewall Innkeeper into Fierce Witchstalker there would have been a good path to take, but with the cards we've taken here, blue-red looks super, super reasonable, and we get to keep this bomb rare potentially. So, see if we get to be an Improbable Alliance deck. This pack is, once again, pretty weak. I think Reeve Soul's the best card by a lot. Just great, cheap removal. These red and blue cards are just not impressive. Even in blue-red draw 2, Mantle of Tides is not the most impressive trigger on your second draw. It's still pretty filler. So Reeve Soul it is. Pick 7, another super bad pack. There's the very filler Tempting Witch, and then the almost unplayable Mistford River Turtle and Fling. Fling I'd only play in a super aggressive, maybe even mono red deck. We do have a cute combo with Fling. With the Opportunistic Dragon, we can fling our opponent's human at them. but that's still really narrow. We're not going to be that aggressive otherwise to be that excited about it. Yeah, I'll just take the Tempting Witch. Pick 8. Alright, Searing Barrage looks perfectly fine. Scalding Cauldron might be better, because we can play it as removal no matter what. The Barrage does kill bigger creatures, but it'll only be in our red deck. I don't know, we have some interaction in every color we've taken so far, except for red. I think we can take Barrage. And we'll still get Cauldrons super late anyway, although this Cauldron's competing with a Wicked Guardian, which, with the right deck with a bunch of creatures with more than 2 toughness, is a really good value play. 1/3 Tempting Witches, 0/4 Merfolk Secret Keepers, 1/4 Corridor Monitors and stuff. If you can draw a card when you play this, the card is really good. Yeah, I'll take the Wicked Guardian. Yeah, 0 respect for Cauldron. Or, yeah, Scalding Cauldron, so we'll be able to pick it up nice and late anyway. Pick 11, just rare draft a Spyglass. For some gems, filler Queen of Ice or filler Trebuchet, neither are good, but they fit in the deck. And Steel Gaze Griffin's probably okay if we're blue-red where we're wanting to draw a second card each turn anyway. Okay, pack 2, pick number 1. What do we have? We have the mythic common of the format, the Merfolk Secret Keeper. Competing with Surkara or Reevesoul. Pretty sure this is the strongest of the cards just because of how broken the mill decks are, how good it is with Runaway together. But Surkara would be a fun spot to be because we have 2 really good red cards here. And well, honestly, our black card quality is about the same as our red. Because Drown in the Loch is also excellent. Reevesoul is very good. And then Wicked Guardian specifically is solid here. Yeah, this might be wrong passing up on Surkara, but really hard to justify passing Merfolk Secret Keepers. And there's another one, so we're kind of locked in now. If we get to have double Secret Keeper, that is as good a reason as any to be milling our opponent out. So let's grab that Secret Keeper. We still don't necessarily have to be blue-black, but we're gonna have a mill sub-theme in our deck now, guaranteed. And we are locked in on blue in particular. I like Enchanted Carriage a lot here. I think I'm going to take blue and colorless cards over anything else, to where I think I can pass up on Reevesoul for Enchanted Carriage. Just a really good stat line later in the game. Tons of blockers, tons of creatures in general. And of course, that flexibility we were just talking about of fitting into blue-red or blue-black, so I don't have to be completely locked in case I get past something like really, really good towards red, I could still play it. Third, Merfolk Secret Keeper. Honestly, the mood I'm in right now after going 3-3 with one of the best decks I think I've drafted in the format, I'm in the mood to be the villain. Triple Secret Keeper is absurd, and we are gonna ruin some days with this one. Overwhelmed Apprentice. Good grief. Wicked Guardian is now incredibly playable, by the way. 3 Secret Keepers that all can get pinged by it. But yeah, here's Apprentice, which is basically just another Secret Keeper. It only mills 2, but it also scries 2. It only costs the 1 mana. A lot easier to replay with the Runaway togethers and such. Into the Story is phenomenal in this archetype when we have triple Secret Keeper. Super cheap draw 4. It's instant speed as well. Card is ridiculous for us. Pick 7. We were talking about how that Corridor Monitor plays very well with the Wicked Guardian, so that's an option. We could also try to go as close to just mono blue as possible to get the Lock Dragon as a solid value play into this deck. Or we could be blue-red mill. We don't get to play Drown in the Loch anymore. We get to play Lock Dragon and Opportunistic Dragon. Maybe it's worth it. I mean, those two dragons alone are very good cards. An Improbable Alliance is nice and flexible for this kind of deck. Yeah, maybe that's a little more interesting. We still get to be the villains, we still get to play an incredible deck, but this way we get to do something a little different than our other blue-black mill machines we've been playing. Okay, we're not playing any of this. I don't think we're splashing in a Dance of the Manse, but you never know. It's more gems towards another draft. We're not even pack 3 yet, and we have 4 1-drop mill cards. Deck's gonna be dumb. Sanctuary, we're definitely heavy enough into blue for that. 10-7 split. Towards islands. Okay. Well, Moonlit Scavengers is just fine. So Tiny is actually pretty great, and we do need some more cheap interaction. We can definitely take So Tiny, but Murderous Rider, be black alongside the Drown in the Lock looks pretty good here. I'm not going to resist the Double Dragon, though. We're going to stick to our guns and be the Double Dragon deck. Grab the So Tiny for that. Much, much, much better than it looks. Still not as good as the Murderous Rider for sure. But a very, very nice option towards sticking blue-red. Pick 2, another Runaway Together to go with our triple Secret Keeper Apprentice is a really, really important card. Mystical Dispute's a great counterspell and everything, but I think the Runaway Together is really going to get this deck ticking, get all that mill really, really going. Well, it's fierce competition between the cards. We have good instants like Fairy Vandal, Thrill Possibility, Runaway Together, so it's not that hard for us to hold up a counter here. And I don't have any counterspells yet. I'm just not going to pass Runaway Together with 3 Secret Keepers, though. Speaking of, here it is again. There's our third. Ooh, I'll pass a Runaway Together for a Stolen by the Fae. This card is stupid. It's a really good way to stabilize. You bounce one of your opponent's creatures, and you get X fairies, where X is that card's mana value. It costs a lot of mana, but you get a huge swing in your favor on the board. Stolen by the Fae is fantastic. Searing Barrage, I actually don't know if we'll be playing it. Trying to cut on the more expensive removal and play cheaper stuff like So Tiny. Scalding Cauldron, cheaper interaction. Didn't say please, beautiful. We still get a counterspell, and it's the perfect counterspell for this deck because it mills 3 alongside all 4 of these. Another didn't say please, join the party. I think I'd take it over Dragonfire, but that is great cheap removal. Nah, I didn't say please is just such a banger for mill. Okay, we're not going to play any of this. Let's rare draft some gems. I'll play a Moonlit Scavengers as our 23rd non-land card. Boom. We have a deck. Not playing any of this. Wait, this is actually our 24th non-land. So we're cutting something. Cut 1 Queen of Ice, I guess. 1 Steel Gaze Griffin. Kind of expensive here. Yeah, I'll cut the Steel Gaze Griffin. Charmed Sleep's perfectly playable. Makes our Scavengers better. I think I'll play that over Queen of Ice. They're pretty similar. This little stun, slow things down. Oh my god. We're playing a full play set of Runaway Together. Let's go. What do we cut for that one? Gotta cut 1 more card. I forgot Arena's broken for me, and I have to rebuild the whole deck after the draft every time, which is super annoying. Cut everything that we cut before, and then we need to cut 1 more card. Maybe 1 of the barrages here. There's still 4 bounce spells, 2 counters, 2 enchantment-based removal spells, a little cauldron burn removal, another bounce was stolen by the Fae, another bounce with scavengers. If we have a carriage or one of the enchantment removal spells on board, then that is a bounce. Or if we have Improbable Alliance on board, that's a bounce. Yeah, I think ditch a 5 mana piece of interaction is fine, or 1 Runaway Together. A full play set might be slightly much, but I do think it plays really well in the set. Yeah, I guess I'll just go 3 Runaway Together. And we will call it a deck here, hop right into the gameplay, and see how it does. Alright, let's get annoying, everybody. Time to embrace our villainous selves. We're going to so tiny their first threat, we're going to counter everything else they play. Build them a bunch while we're at it. Secret Keeper, hello there, friend. So tiny can now stop an up to 6 power creature. We want to drop this on the board for our Runaway Together. That if I don't need to counter their next threat, we can so tiny it and Secret Keeper bounce with Runaway Together. Playing against green-black tends to be a food-based archetype, but it looks like all just good value plays from our opponent in general right now. Yep, there's another great value play. The Order of Midnight Adventure. Okay. Two flyer can't block. So we can just so tiny that. I have the mana for so tiny, plus didn't say please still next turn, so I just chill. Yeah, I don't think I want to counter something unless it's like I need to counter it. Like if it's something that just stopping it from dealing damage is enough, then we're just stopping it from dealing damage here. So boom. The tiniest Order of Midnight. Another Wildwood Tracker? Sure. I'm not under enough pressure to need to bounce anything right now. Alright, if something really good resolves, we can bounce it and then counter it next turn. Enchanted Carriage holds all this off, so I'm gonna dump it out. Nice little precursor to Bloomburrow coming up. We got some mice tokens, and they're adorable. Beanstalk Giant. That would have been a solid target for the counter, because we'd stop them from ramping and playing the Giant later. So that's a little rough. Are they gonna Garenbrig Carver to kill our pumpkin? It's still fine. If they do. We still kill a creature here. Insatiable Appetite? Alright, that's still a 1-for-1 trade. We trade into their combat trick and get that out of here permanently. We gonna trade into a combat trick again, or are the mice gone? The mice are gone, but now this one's just a 1-1. Because this is a human, so it's not giving it the +1/+1 buff. Rose Thorn Acolyte, mana dork that also makes the tracker a little bigger. I feel like I would rather counter the 7/7s, like Beanstalk Giant, than the mana doofus here. They already have 5 mana. Perfect. Huh. Alright, not completely perfect. The one awkward part of this is if I want to get the draw 2 trigger, I have to do this during my turn, which means not holding up the counters. So not quite perfect. Still good for the future, though. Okay, yeah, I'll counter that. That's countering 8 power and 7 toughness worth of stats, because I counter the 2 +1/+1 counters and the 6/5 all in one go. Oh, that was the perfect runaway together. Dang, I'm forgetting about the little interactions in this format. If you get rid of the legal target for an adventure like that, then the entire spell fizzles. So we actually could have gotten rid of their 6/5 just by bouncing the Acolyte back to hand for now. That would have been so good. Yeah, that was loose of me. That'd actually be like an incredible position here if we did that. Speaking of incredible, Stolen by the Fae is strong enough to let the shields go down for a turn, I'm pretty sure. I mean, if they top deck a basic land, they can cast Beanstalk Giant next turn, even if I bounce the Acolyte. But then I can run away together the Beanstalk to counter, but then say please later. Yeah, I'm just gonna do this. Garen Brig Paladin, welcome. I actually might have to get rid of that instead of the Beanstalk Giant, because that one's way harder for us to block. Well, never mind, we can get rid of both, because we hit a Searing Barrage. Probably pass and wait to see what they do in case they have another, like maybe I can make up for my past mistake of not bouncing or killing in response to Oaken Boons, that I can do it against like a Shield's Might or something. We're lucky here. We are not lucky. Looks like we're just going to have to Searing Barrage the Paladin on this combat. They can Cauldron our Secret Keeper, and then our Runaway together is kind of stranded. We don't draw another creature. We've actually only drawn one creature this game, though, so there's pretty good odds we find one soonish. $18 life, I'm pretty sure we are pushing the aggressive position with these fairies. Oh wow, that's pretty good for me. They throw a Cauldron at 1/3 of our fairy stack. Mana number 7 for Beanstalk Giant has arrived. Although the Acolyte does it too. Alright, get on out of here, Beanstalk. Not bad at all. Down to 8 cards in their deck, and we've got Runaway together to mill another 4. And that stops all of their onboard damage. Boom, there we go. We do make up for past mistakes. Completely counter the tree folk with this Runaway together. And we still end up way ahead in that interaction. It just ends up playing on a much later turn. Down to 3 cards in their library. And because I have nothing else to do with my mana except one Secret Keeper, I can go ahead and get the Fairy this turn off of the Improbable Alliance by doing that during my turn. They have 2 cards left to break through all these fairies and kill me. Alright, outmuscle, clear out a fairy. Hit as hard as they can here. Try to kill us in 3 attacks. Yep, take 6. Down to 10. Just play 2 blockers and pass feels like the best line we have. They have 1 card left in their deck. Alright, that's as defensive as we can get, I think. And there's the concession from our opponents. Start things off 1-0. Just a ridiculous game from our deck. Certainly didn't play it out right. If we had bounced that early Oaken Boon Adventure, that would have been incredible. Would have been even farther in our favor, but a really good showing from our deck, and very nice to take that useful information about countering adventures into future games. Make sure we always keep that in mind when our opponent is using adventures on their creatures. Well, this hand has really high individual card quality. The big flaw, though, is that it's all high mana value, so we could get overwhelmed by an aggro deck. Because we can't actually play Runaway Together on turn 2. We're not doing anything till turn 4. But we're doing strong enough things that we could absolutely recover with these spells late game. And if our opponent doesn't have a creature in the first 2 turns, that is super helpful. First 3, and we're golden. We're in this game. Playing against blue-black, the bane of the format, the strongest deck. Very similar to what we're doing here. We're a blue-black deck in disguise. Yeah, they're just gonna Secret Keeper and keep Runaway Together, remilling us and all that nonsense. Which is actually rough, because our deck has a lot of card draw, which means that actually will be a little stronger against us than it is generally. We're gonna naturally mill out a bit faster when we're doing Lock Dragon stuff, you know, discarding a card, drawing a card every turn. Alright, there's the Secret Keeper. 1 blue mana up here. Let's drop the Dargon. I don't actually know what I discard here, but I definitely need to make the Fairy. Maybe it's Runaway Together, because they have no good targets for it right now, and I still have, like, hard removal and a Stolen by the Fae. Yeah, I guess it is. It's definitely not the mana when I have Enchanted Carriage next turn. And we probably need to race them here, because blue-black is likely to be able to mill us more than we can mill them. Who knows, though? They're playing a lot of card draw, so maybe not. Revesil the Lock Dragon, super sad. I guess we could have tried to play really, really slow and wait till turn 6 with the Lock Dragon, because we had the Runaway Together for it. But I really like triggering that alliance as quickly as possible. Getting that really going there. Get this carriage down while they're tapped out of counterspells. Lost Legion. Solid target for Stolen by the Fae, because we don't care too much about that enter the battlefield effect. Secret Keeper's a horrible target for Stolen by the Fae. Thing's a sorcery, right? Yeah. That'd be really, really good if it was an instant. Okay, they do have double blue up now, because the banner's on blue. Like it's stolen by the Fae and they might didn't say please us. Charm Sleep is horrible in this matchup too, because they're definitely running like Runaway together. They have 3 power on board. We can theoretically send in Carriage here, so send it in, holding up didn't say please, and Runaway together if they do something weird. They're down to 10. I think we just take those. We're just cool with it and we pass. Oh, they do have double foods. They're actually at like 16. Yeah. That's considerable. They don't have double blue up after that, so unless they have Drown in the Lock, this should work. Please don't have Drown in the Lock. Sick. Yeah, Covetous Urge is a very good card. We don't want to see that from our opponent. Ooh, they're splashing white. They probably have like Dance of the Mance then. Take 3. If they had the double blue counter, I think they would have played an island first and then cast the Urge, so I'm pretty sure we're home free to cast Stolen by the Fae here. But maybe they just misplayed with the Covetous Urge. Nope. They just didn't have a counter. Beautiful turn for us. Boom. Big damage here. And yeah, they've drawn so many cards. They're milling out first. The only instant I have to hold up here is Runaway together, so I don't mind main phasing Improbable Alliance to just get another flyer. Yeah, when all we have is tokens to bounce our own card anyway. I needed to play my land first though, so I could play Secret Keeper as a blocker. Probably not super relevant, but I think it would have been better to have this on the board and the Secret Keeper on the board. Doesn't matter, we still get way ahead just because Stolen by the Fae is ridiculous. A whole army of 1/1 flyers grinds out the game for us, and we're 2-0 heading into game 3. Alright, mono blue deck for game 3, but we have removal and a counter spell. So I don't think we mulligan. It can obviously be really awkward. We can draw some red spells and no mountains. But there we go. We've got a mountain. So the only thing we can draw that we can't cast is double red spells at this point. Opponent's on as close to mono red as possible if they're playing Dwarven Mine, which is scary. It's going to be a quick deck and this hand's kind of slow. Luckily, their hand looks kind of slow for mono red, at least so far. No 2-drop creatures, so they're playing Thrill of Possibility to draw 2. Yep. Fine by me, as long as they're not impacting the board right now. Although countering Thrill of Possibility is extremely rude. They discard a card still, and then they don't draw the 2. But I would rather have the counters for things that affect the board. I can take 1 damage a turn, and I can also just kill that, so let's just kill that. I don't have an artifact for scavengers on board anymore, but this is fine. Uh-oh. We've been pretty bad at hitting our 1-drops for Runaway Together. We've got 4 of them. 3 Seeker Keeper, 1 Overwhelmed Apprentice. That's as awkward as possible. That's every Runaway Together in the deck, and none of the cheap creatures. RNGesus is hating on us with that one. That's incredibly unlikely. Serkara? Okay, that's also terrifying. I'm pretty happy with that top deck. The shuffler gives and the shuffler taketh away. Punishes us with triple Runaway Together, but then it's like, alright, here's Charmed Sleep right on time. I know we're trolling you a little bit. Another Trebuchet. We're on a 20-turn clock, everybody. Uh-oh, they actually have a knight to play here. That's not good. Are they gonna just machine gun a bunch of knights this turn? That'd be weird, because... Oh, that explains it. They wanted to wait for the Burning Yard to draw another knight. That's an insane amount of damage here. Yeah, I mean, we do kind of die if we draw every Runaway Together and no creatures. We might kind of die here. Gotta be red cap, right? Because that threatens to trade up into Scavengers, which is pretty bad. I'll check out the deck list after this game if it ends pretty soon. To where this is still on my mind. We might want to cut down to just 2 Runaway Together. Because this draw is abysmal. If this ever happens. Might be a little too low on cheap creatures for it. Ooh, yep, that's gross. We're probably pretty dead. Looks like. Down to 4 now. Yeah, we're at 1. That's just dead. No matter what. Wow. And then that. Yeah, that draw was horrific. Those were the worst draws possible. To have like all the runaways with no creatures. Let's double check our creature count here. But even with a lower creature count, that was just really bad variance. But let's check it out here. Yeah, it is just 5 cheap creatures for 3 runaways. It's definitely too many. But drawing all 3 is also just so unlikely. Yeah, we're probably 2 runaways maximum. I'm definitely happy I cut the 4th. We put Queen of Ice in here just for another cheap creature. For the 2 runaways. Yeah, Queen of Ice over a 3rd Runaway Together looks reasonable. Yeah, we'll do that. That gives us a little more early defense. And we're definitely less likely to hit a clump of 3 Runaway Togethers now, because now it's literally impossible. We could hit 2 of them. But that should be fine. Yeah, we kind of saw the 2 different polar ends of the spectrum for that spell, right? We saw it just completely winning us the game round 1 against the green deck, being able to counter those Oak and Boon adventures and the creature itself. was absolutely disgusting, and then the recasting for the final mill was big. But then we saw it completely losing us the game there in game 3 by being uncastable the whole game long. We just had 3 completely dead cards in hand. If they were just reasonable creatures, have a considerably better chance there. Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like 2 is probably the solid middle ground here. Maybe we're even supposed to drop down to 1, but again, they were incredible in game 1. Like, as long as you can just hit a creature to go with them. And now, as you do, it's time to draw all of the creatures that work great with it, and none of the runaway togethers, since we cut 1 down. We have to continue the natural order of things, where that's just how things go. We're playing a blue-red mirror match, which is good for us, because they're going to have a lot of card draw for their improbable alliance type stuff. So the mill plan is going to work well, and we already have mill 8 to start the game off, so we're looking good here. They've got their own mill plan, so you basically just always expect. I probably should have played Cauldron over the Secret Keeper here, in case I need to kill something immediately. 2 mana? Might be dumb, but I'm just gonna hard cast Queen of Ice. Well, that's a problem. Man, Runaway Together is so good against that. This would happen as soon as I cut it. We just get rid of all of the counters on it forever. Oh man, this really is the way of life. Just gonna hold Cauldron up to kill the fairy, because another Secret Keeper doesn't block the well anyway. So now they can't drop the fairy down on us. I mean, they can, but we just kill it if they do. Okay, that works. But they've got double blue up. If they didn't say please, I still get to Mystic Sanctuary this back onto my deck. Yeah, we just do it. Kinda have to. At this rate. They could sack it to draw 2 in response. Yeah, and that's annoying, but it was also pretty expected, pretty obvious. Which is why we only did this because we have the backup. They can double it up, then we may just die. Yeah, if they just pass here, we might have to 2-for-1 ourselves. Queen of Ice and Cauldron the Witching Well, which is so bad. No, and we can't even do that because they just Cauldron the Queen of Ice. I mean, yeah, we're just dead if they have double counterspell then. Because if I try to Stolen by the Fae, and they have the counterspell, then the well is still around, and then they just Cauldron our Queen of Ice, so I can't block plus Cauldron. And if I don't try to Stolen by the Fae, then they just Cauldron the Queen of Ice, so my only choice is to try to Stolen by the Fae. I should play the land first, though, to play around Mystical Dispute, which is counter unless I pay 3. Even if they don't have the counterspell, we're actually in a really bad spot here. The Animating Fairy was just bonkers here. As we go so far behind on cards on that interaction. They've got a full grip and we have nothing. Still more card draw with Tome Raider here. Terabad draws Terabad. There is the Cauldron on the Queen. We're not going to Cauldron the Tome Raider, because Cauldron's functionally stopping 2 damage a turn just by not using it, because they keep not playing the fairy, because we can kill a 2/2 flying fairy with it. So if I use it, it's stopping 1 damage a turn from Tome Raider, but if I don't use it, it's stopping 2 damage a turn from Animating Fairy. This is not good. We gotta find something. And lands are nothing. Another Witching Well, huge card draw from our opponent. And their top 2 cards are good, and they're going to go right into their hand. They likely have something to interact with this, but if they don't, technically that's the blocker for Tome Raider. It kills it and stays on board. Sure, to be expected at this point with a full grip of cards. We're down to 5 then. There's Animating Fairy. Probably means they have run away together now. Nope, we actually do kill the Animating Fairy. Speaking of run away together, they've got double blue and 1 up if they have the counterspell anyway. We wait to see if they play something bigger than Tome Raider, I think. At 5? Got time. Okay, that's a good one. What a surprise. One of the 6 cards in hand is a counterspell. They milled land, land, land. That is good for me. Go to 3. Let's go, baby. Okay. I like that a lot. Let's definitely say run away together for something else. 8 cards left for them. We have 17, so even if they have another Didn't Say Please, we're super winning on mill. That's an insane amount of counters. It's the 4th one we've seen, I think? No, 3rd one. I don't remember what direct damage exists in this format. I think I just take it till I go to 1, honestly, because I don't think there's a lot of direct damage burn. The big one. They go to 6 cards in library off this. Build a Brazen Borrower? Oh my god, Didn't Say Please just kills them. If we draw that at the right time. Yeah, run away together or Secret Keeper plus Didn't Say Please is the rest of their deck. Oh, I should have waited till I top deck Didn't Say Please. There's like no reason not to. Oh, that's so... That's really frustrating. I straight up just lost the game because of that. Unless they have 5 Didn't Say Please, which would be egregious. Oh wait, that was number 5. That was number 5? Oh my god. So unless they had 6 Didn't Say Please, I could have won if we waited. That's extremely tilting. We have no artifact or enchantment on board to bounce this Tomb Raider. Well, I kind of want them to show me it if they had the 6th. Wow. So it literally didn't matter. Oh man. Yeah, that's brutal. 2-2 it is, heading into game 5. At least the massive misplay didn't play out against us in the end, and we would have lost regardless, because their draft pod just fed them every Didn't Say Please in the universe. All right. Here we go. It's gonna be annoying. I mean, we can't possibly be as annoying as a 6 Didn't Say Please deck, at least, but we're definitely some of the villains. Because blue just continues to be way too open for how strong it is, so what can you do, really? This mono blue. Blue-black, Bane of the format is here. Luckily, Wishful Merfolk sucks. That does not really matter at all. Maybe casting the Secret Keeper that's on an adventure would have been the best play here. Play around that 3-mana discard thingy. And that gives us a better runaway together if that's what we want to do. Mm, 0-4 bodies stop the merfolk all day long. Yeah, I don't even think we're so tinying. Alright, yeah, I'll just play the Secret Keeper this turn. Best time to do it was last turn, second time to do it was now. There's just no sequence of cards that punishes a lot for not being able to cast so tiny and run away together. If we can cast one or the other, that's going to be fine. Could Secret Keeper them again here, but another 0-4 blocker is not going to do anything. And we can just make sure we soak up all their mana if they're just holding up a Didn't Say Please kind of counterspell. And if they're not, again, it's not that bad to just not play Secret Keeper yet because it doesn't impact the board at all. We can just counter later. That's going to be annoying. So we know they have a Didn't Say Please next turn. Sir Eleanor is the play this turn. They do it into 4 open mana, but of course, we don't have the counter. Might be pretty over. Hand's looking bad right now. I guess we get them to re-tap out for Sir Eleanora soonish. They have the Lockmere Serpent. This is the auto win in the Mill Mirror match. Because it comes back from graveyard. And it's a giant unblockable threat forever. But I feel like I can concede right now, but this is our last game if we lose it, so we might as well play it out. We can get Lockmered. It's the Mirror Breaker. It wins the blue versus blue matchups every time. Sir Eleanor's the play. Shields down again. Okay. Apprentice Runaway together is mill 6. They're at 13 cards here. Charm Sleep Lockmere Serpent is like one of the few ways we're just gonna like deal with that. I have nothing to discard to this Thrill of Possibility. It's real awkward. I actually think I have to ditch it. Yeah, we have to do this while they're tapped out. Problem with that is I'm 1 mana off from doing that and milling them again, and I need to mill them while they're tapped out. So I have to hit Tome Raider here instead of Eleonora. Awkward. Oh, their deck really is my nightmare, isn't it? 3 Didn't Say Please minimum. It's either my nightmare or my dream. Depends on if I'm playing it or playing against it. Six cards left, though. 5 cards left, though. Still playing card draw spells is bold. But they do have a creature with power equal to their cards in hand, so keeps their power up. And they're holding up Didn't Say Please here. That is so fine. Absolutely nothing. Now we can So Tiny Sir Eleanor, and we know they don't have response. Four cards in their deck. If we bounce Secret Keeper one more time, that's game, and if we can just Charm Sleep long enough to survive, that's game. We gonna beat the Mirror Breaker Lockmere Serpent? Be insane. Oh, second Sir Eleonora. I mean, they draw another card. That is a must ability. They're down to 3 cards. They don't have double blue up. I mean, Carriage trades into Sir Eleonora on blocks here, so if they don't have the counter mana up, just dropping Carriage is big. Yeah, they're going to put Lockmere Serpent in hand, so we drop Carriage to trade into Sir Eleonora on blocks, or just have 2 more chump blockers with the mice. Cool. Two cards left. They could have a Forever Young to put all their creatures engraved back into their library and buy more than enough time to kill me. So let's hope they don't have that. I'm going to leave a mouse untapped for a chump blocker here because I'd rather chump with a mouse than a Secret Keeper if they use instant speed removal on Carriage pre-blocks. Big Stone Coil Serpent. 2 cards left though. Charmed Sleep that so that the Scavengers can bounce the next card, because now I have an enchantment on board. There's Lockmere Serpent, which we can bounce with Scavengers. Golden Egg to draw the last card in their deck. And concede! I was going to concede that game. I was sure we were out of it. I think when we saw the Lockmere Serpent is when I was confident. But then it was like, well, I can mill like 12 cards. Pretty much guaranteed here, so let's just do that and see how far that takes us. Well, it took us the whole way because a lot of their strongest cards required them to draw a card when they played them. So they just helped us mill them out a bit, and we actually are 3-2. At least a 50-50 run here, but see if we can't get in the money as we head into game number 6. Here we are for game 6. Lock down their first threat, counter the next one, and then draw 4 later to get ahead. Ooh. Apprentice. Set up our draws here. Also makes it easier to get to the 7 cards in their grave for that Into the Story. Oh yeah, we're going to have the 7 in grave here. Scavengers, a little too expensive. Little too expensive with a 3-lander. But yeah, this is going to cost 4 mana for sure now, which is incredible. Although I do think I'm holding up Didn't Say Please over Secret Keepering right now. Counter like a Fertile Footsteps if they cast that. But if they just play a creature, we'll just So Tiny. That's a mana ramp creature, I'll counter that. Even if I nullify its power, it can still ramp them up. Okay, now I don't have a counterspell to hold up. So make Into the Story cost 4 total. And just getting the Secret Keeper on the board immediately towards Runaway Together on Secret Keeper more quickly to mill them faster. Okay, So Tiny on Adversary is perfect. Which means no Into the Story this turn, but that's fine. Beautiful draw. We're just giving our opponent a taste of what we felt on that 6 Didn't Say Please game. This is really, really rude. Once in future. Like solid value for our opponent. Those spells aren't actually that scary. We're just gonna let them have them. Broom. Clockwork Servant? Oh yeah, you can draw a card. I am happy to see you draw another card. Alright. We're looking good. Got our ridiculous Stolen by the Fae and Opportunistic Dragon for later now. Pretty good card draw engine. But it draws them cards, which is good for us and bad for them. Okay. I like their deck a lot. It's cool. But it is rough against heavy mill like we have here. I don't even need to interact with any of this stuff yet. I can just hold up the Didn't Say Please still, because I think I really need to counter the Okame Ranger. They're going for value. Draw 2 more cards. Speed up the mill. Oh, that's really good with the Sorcerer's Broom too. That's very cute. $13 cards left. Kill the Maraleaf Rider so they can't force any blocks here. And it's also tied for their biggest creature. Carriage is nice, but playing it means not holding up Didn't Say Please. If I wanted to not hold up Didn't Say Please, I'd play Stolen by the Fae right now. Okay, beautiful. That's what we want to counter, because we counter the adventure and the creature. Oh, they had a banner. Also really good with that ranger. They're still drawing with the Trail of Crumbs. They're just going for it. 7 cards left. Top deck another Secret Keeper and the game's over. We didn't top deck another Secret Keeper, but that mill 4 to put into the 3 cards in library is enough for them to scoop it up, and we are now 4-2 heading into game 7. Well, that's unkeepable. Snap mulligan. And this is the same hand, except we can cast the spells. Means it's better. Red-white aggro with some really high-quality cards. Robber the Rich, Youthful Knight, Trapped in the Tower, and Pathlighter are all great aggro cards. Especially the Robber of the Rich. I mean, thing was a standard all-star. Stolen by the Fae should be pretty incredible in this matchup. They have a Bone Crusher Giant too? No Slaying Fire, that's super fine. Bone Crusher Giant would have been terrifying. Ooh, boy, I wish I drew a counterspell. I mean, this thing just bodies me. They get a token every single upkeep. Even if it's like the weakest token each turn, that's so deadly. Yeah, just a 1/2 that pings for one every turn. Alright. That's probably GG. Because I can't deal with enchantments once they've resolved. The only thing blue-red can do is counter it when it gets cast, and we did not have any counters in the hand. I think we're pretty dead. But we'll see. Thought that a couple rounds ago. I take Didn't Say Please. We try to have the Flying to Victory route with Stolen by the Fey Lock Dragon and the Mill route with Runaway Together Secret Keeper, plus Runaway Together can bounce a token really well. I think I discard Didn't Say Please. We plan to just tap out every turn. I think the 3/1 Trample is genuinely the best one for them here. Maximum pressure on our life total. The lifelinkers would be really good too, though, because then our whole flying route to victory is not a route at all. Man, this is rough. Discard one of these to the Lock Dragon. They're at 21 cards. I feel like I might be supposed to discard a Secret Keeper. I've got Mill 8 in the hand. I can put them to 13 cards in deck. It's just not outracing the Merriment. But, like, realistically, is Barrage going to be outracing Merriment? Probably not. But it helps by time. I guess I can just not do it here. I really want land 5 for Barrage. And stuff. I'm not going to do it. One wants to hold off the 3/1. Okay. If we can get these trades, then we can delay things long enough to be back on that mill plan since we kept the maximum amount of mills still. Sure. It's like a solid turn for me. All things considered. An Ogre Knight. We gotta wait for a human for Opportunistic Dragon, but that is gonna be really helpful. Does this mean no attacks with Lock Dragon this turn? I still don't want to discard anything. Very much could. I mean, if it's not going to block anyway, it would. If they hit the 1/2, it'll block. Oh, they hit the 2/1. 13. We could have another Silver Flame Squire, that'd be pretty gross. Mm. 12. There's Youthful Knight. And Lonesome Unicorn for more power. The human I steal can't attack or block. Yeah, so I'm just stopping it from hitting me. So we take the first striker here, but now this errant gives that menace. I just don't really think you can beat a Resolved Merriment in this format. If you're not in colors that can blow it up. I'm just trying my best to clear out as many of these blockers and delay this game as much as possible. There's no way we could have outraced this. They got 2 of the lifelinkers here. I feel like the plan that we've gone with here has been the best we could have hoped for, and it's just not looking to be remotely close to enough. Probably should have ended up trading Lock Dragon off last turn since I ended up trading it here anyway. Another Lonesome Unicorn. Just finding more creatures to go really wide with this Merriment. It's big stuff. Oh, that's the Searing Barrage mana. $13 cards. Ah, no. Rally as well. Really wide board state. The ping for 1 on Dragon, so we can't block a 2 toughness creature again. Very good hit. Although, again, literally any of these tokens would be fantastic here. It's just too much. Merriment's just insane. Alright. I think we fought about as hard as we could here. Yeah, that's certainly dead no matter what we do. Alright, well, bummer of an ending here. I think this deck was pretty good. Just 3-3 in the end, I think. 4-3. Alright. Solid average run, get our full prize out back. Cash out all the gems right back at it. So think the only thing that could have went considerably different here where during the draft would have been just playing blue-black again for the millionth time in the format, as you're prone to doing. We would have had Reeve Soul, Drown in the Loch, and then we would have had the Outrider, the Zombie Knight that has a removal spell adventure attached. But then I would have been running basically the exact same deck twice in a row, because that was our deck last time, that 3/3'd was blue-black with that exact rare and the playset of Runaway together to go with that rare. Yeah, we would have played like the exact same deck, so it was probably the slightly stronger place to be, but this was a little bit more interesting getting to play with a little bit of some red alongside the blue nonsense, but as we've seen, I feel like this happens every time that we flashback draft Eldraine. Like, when we first get back into the flashback drafts, I'm like, well, blue-based mill decks, blue-black mill, is the bane of the format. It's a huge problem. It was an absolute nightmare in quick drafts, but player drafts are self-correcting, and there's other cool things you can do in the format, so it's actually a pretty decent, not that bad format in Premier Draft mode. But then, once I get towards the end of the Premier Drafts, I just realize, like, well, because these are flashback drafts, like, the vast majority of these draft pods, people haven't played the set in years, or haven't played the set at all. So, like, blue being the strongest, most busted, ridiculous mill color is not known by every single player who hops into the draft pod. So, every time that you're in a draft pod, if you know and respect the powerful blue mill-based cards and stuff, it's just objectively the spot you're supposed to be in. So, it kind of ends up having the exact same problem that Quick Draft had, where it's like, every time you draft it, you're just supposed to draft blue, because blue's just not drafted as heavily as it should be for how powerful the color is. So, again, it just feels like every time they bring it back for flashback drafts, I start the format with this just glinty-eyed optimism of all the fun mono-colored mono-green beats and mono-red aggro and green-black food and all these archetypes that I'm like, these are super fun, pretty good archetypes, and then I just have to play blue every time, and I play against blue almost every time too. Because blue is just so strong, and it is an imbalanced enough format that it's the kind of format that when you bring it back for flashback drafts, because it's only for 1 week, like, not everyone's going to have solved the format just immediately in a 1 week period or have played the set before, to where it's just going to be way too open for all the flashback drafts. So it's just as big of a problem as ever, and it's just all blue mill decks. Maybe that was just my experience. Maybe that was just some rough variance here, but I feel like there were a couple drafts here where I tried to kind of force non-blue and then got past ridiculously late blue stuff and ended up just playing blue again. And I feel like I keep running against blue decks that are just objectively way, way, way too open, like 6 copies of Didn't Say Please kind of blue decks. So maybe you all just have a lot more backbone than me, and you really force non-blue to the point where you're like, pick 5, pick 6 Secret Keeper, pick 7, 8 Didn't Say Please. Nah, I'm good. I'm not touching blue. I want to play a variety of decks to the point where I'm just definitely not hopping in no matter what. Maybe you had a better time by just forcing non-blue, but didn't have a great time here, and I think that happens every time. I enjoy it for the first 2 or 3 drafts, and then I just realize, wait, I'm just always supposed to be blue, and I'm just always playing against ridiculous blue. I don't know. Eldraine keeps falling in my perception the more they bring it back for flashback drafts, but it was still a nice change of pace here, and we still had a solid record overall. I was pretty bummed out, honestly, the last few drafts, because I think that our blue-based decks were like real good. The blue-green, the blue-black, and the blue-red that we've had here these last few runs. And they did not... they didn't win accordingly. We didn't get a 7 win out of any of them. Just the average like 3 3s and 4 3s. So I was a little bummed out by that, but objectively looking at the record overall, 7-0, 4-3. I think it was 7-0, a couple 4-3s, a 3-3. I don't remember how blue-green went. That might have been like 6-3. Yeah, really solid record. We never had a draft with more losses than wins, so it was still a great record for the flashback, all things considered. But with my gigantic anti-Eldraine spiel out of the way in the end, that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for supporting the channel, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it and you're interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.